Hello and welcome back. Sean here, Mountains Garage. Let me pull up to the table in my squeaky chair. This is going to be one of those shop update videos because I've shot a few random clips this week and let's just put them all together and talk about random stuff. Starting with this. I was at my buddy Charlie's shop a couple weeks ago and he had the Eastwood version of this. It's a manual press brake for bending metal. I was attracted to it because sometimes when I'm using my hydraulic press brake, which is really slick, I've had it 4 or 5 years now, bent all kinds of stuff, but sometimes when I'm making multiple bends, my bend runs into this. And I wished it was turned around the other direction. I'll explain, I guess, but anyway, I do like this. This was left over from my pipe bender experiment. I was running this bender with a Porta Power type jack, and now this works pretty slick. It sits right here. I just use the foot pedal with my hand, and it does a great job. So I was attracted to this manual brake only because it bends this way, the opposite of my hydraulic one, which is coming towards the centerpiece where the ram is. This one has nothing but air in the way, or in this case, bolted to this adapter I made. The bench is in the way. The new little bench that I bought, my portable one, due to its construction, there's no overlap in the bench for me to attach the receiver. Therefore, this tool sits up over the top of it. On that bench, I made this a little bit extra long, so most anything I would be building wouldn't interfere with the bench. If it does, I can bring it over here. I haven't slid this into the receiver, I just welded over there, but we can do that in a second. I had actually cut about 2 inches off this. I wish I left it, but such is the way when you're designing on the fly. So let's put it in the receiver. I made one small clip cutting this piece of plate for the adapter with my M18 skill saw. I'll put that in right here, and then we'll go stick it in the vise. Up until just recently, my options for cutting a piece of plate were a torch, plasma cutter, drag that out and hook it up, Sawzall, not accurate, whiz wheel, death wheel. None of those are really appealing anymore because of the M18 metal skill saw. So easy. I slid it into the latest receiver hitch I installed on my big bench, and you can see now that the bending area is wide open. It's nice that it gives you an option to remove the shoe, or the whatever you want to call it, the anvil. Or would that be the anvil? Anyway, if you have difficulty removing the piece you've bent, most of the time you got plenty of room just to stick it in any way you want. In this case, I'll just go the width of the receiver. You can take up a little slack, make sure it looks pretty square, then you just crank on it. And there's measurements here. You can determine, if you do a little math, what 45 is, or in this case, you can just look right down at the bend. A little more, if we were shooting for 45. Again, a little bit of use and you'll be an expert at it. There, just like that. In this case, we could take it right out. What I dislike is I think this could be a little sharper to make the bend a little sharper. But instead of modifying this one, I think I'll just make another one. There's nothing but a hunk of metal, a couple slots in it. We have the technology for that, so we can do that. Just like that. It also has this adjustable, kind of hokey stop if you were doing multiple bends, I guess. Yeah, that's the concept of this. Most of the time it'll probably hang right there. Eventually, if I get sick of it, if I take it off, it does give you kind of a handle to move it, so I guess it has other purposes. So as I mentioned, my buddy Charlie's was made by Eastwood, and I had one of those in my shopping cart, but the Eastwood site was driving me nuts, and it was about $148. So, of course, like I do most things, I was up in the middle of the night, might as well do some shopping. And I've actually been asked to shoot a video about how I shop for things. Interesting, but we'll get back to that. So, lo and behold, it's sold maybe by the company that actually makes it, because Eastwood, I love Eastwood, but they rebox a lot of other people's stuff and make it their own, paint it blue. So in this case, Kaka Industries, K-A-K-A, sells it, and I believe I paid $118 for it, shipped. So, not so bad, comes in your typical Chinese box, and typical Chinese instructions. 4-inch bending brake, if anybody's looking at the capacities, it says it'll bend 3/4 by 11/16 thick. That seems impossible. 2-inch by 7/16, also pretty thick, and a complete 4-inch wide piece in 5/16. That's pretty stout. I won't bend, or I don't make a lot of stuff bigger than 1/4 inch, so I guess I'm good. I can go the full width. So, crazy. And the pieces I was talking about, they call them the pressing die. That's the one that's removable. And the bending die is the one that's fixed. So, there you go. You can, go through the parts list. And again, it's what I consider a throwaway tool, but it's made very sturdy. Has a giant ball bearing in it. I really can't find much wrong with it, other than I wish it was made here in America, but it's not. Nothing I can do about that. I don't think I'm going to open a factory today. So that's that about the Kaka Industries. You can't say that without laughing. Bending brake. Moving on. I have wanted a chassis table, a frame table, call it what you will. A large flat area to build frames on, or anything flat. When I had the slab poured for the garage here, I had to, right up to the moment the cement trucks backed in, I had to keep expressing my interest. I wanted perfectly flat floors. I didn't want anything pitched, I didn't want slope. I wasn't worried about water. Just give me a flat area to work. My garage up there, my small one, has a drain in the middle, everything's crooked, and I worked up there a long time, and that's a pain. So, because you can build a frame on a flat area, even if you have to level it up. I mean, level is level no matter what you're working on. However, having a nice, slightly elevated table that you can actually tack the frame to or tack the pieces to as you're building it, now you're talking. So I have been collecting. I had a few I-beams outside that were about 16 feet long and maybe 6-inch web. And my thought process was I spent a lot of time, the beauty of online nowadays is I'm friends with lots of chassis shops, high profile chassis shops that build all the race cars you can think of for all the name brand guys you see on TV. And in one case, DMC Race Cars out of Massachusetts, they have a lot of cars under construction at the same time, like Murder Nova. I think that was built on a homemade jig. Looks like some box tubing, and maybe that was built out of I-beam. Again, the jig doesn't make the car. I'm sure it's the guy building it. Far extreme to that, like CJ Race Cars out of Florida. They build Justin Swanstrom stuff. They have an aluminum billet jig. Everything bolts on, everything's threaded. Every chassis tube has an aluminum clamp that holds it in place. That's pretty high tech. But I was not looking. I was looking for something a little more hillbilly and cheap. That's why I was collecting stuff. I've been backburnering the project. It's going to live outside. I don't have the space for it. I do have a need for it. Not today. So I had plenty. I had time on my side. When, of course, on a Friday night, actually Thursday night, last Thursday night on Marketplace, it said yard clean out and just random pictures. And in the picture was this metal structure, and then in the next picture he had a stock car on it, so clearly that's what they were using it for. I talked to the guy, and he said they used to build trailers and stock cars. The problem is, one of those guys, kind of hard to get to know, but kind of gruff at first. No price on it. I asked how much you want for it. Make an offer. So I offered $100, and now he's mad at me. I can junk it for more than that. Then give me a price, for Pete's sake. And the next text from him is that somebody was coming to buy it, and it was gone. So fine, I forgot about it. Friday morning, 12 hours later, well, that guy didn't show up. Are you still interested? So I was at his house Saturday morning, and I'm going to show you the footage right now. Here we go. And that was it. I made it home safely. I gained some blocking, and the guy turned out to be super helpful. He actually cut a couple other brackets that were going to be in the way off. He laid in the street and did it with his grinder, and he gave me the blocking, and he worked pretty hard for 45 minutes to get that out of there. Even though I told him I was on my way Saturday morning, because when I tell you I'm coming, he didn't prepare. He said, well, nobody else shows up, so I didn't drag it up and have it out front again. He'd done it before, apparently. So as you can see in the picture, it's somewhat flexible. And believe it or not, that was a quality I'm looking for. It's sturdy. When you bring it in on the cement and level it up, it's not going to move. But I looked at one a few years ago. It was built out of like a 16-inch beam, and it was slightly crooked, and there was no way to fix it. It was too rigid, if there is such a thing. So for my hillbilly engineering, slightly flexible is fine. Again, it's on wheels, and the tongue, I already removed the tongue. The wheels are removable once I get it inside the building, but now I have an easy way to move it around the yard. And it's at that state of rust where it doesn't rub off in your hands anymore. It's just that color. So I'm fine with it living outside. So it doesn't hurt my feelings as much as if I had built it from scratch and then pushed it outside in the rain. So I got it down back where it's going to live until I need it, and I already got a couple Model A frames that I picked up yesterday sitting on top of it. It's already good off the ground storage. So that's the story of the frame table. And again, if you can buy that much steel as cheap as I bought it, he was considering it for scrap. That's a good deal. So I'm behind this guy's house, which I hope the camera does the hill here justice. Buying what is a frame table over there, and it just keeps going downhill and downhill here. But he's gone to get his off-road rig to pull it out. Home safely. When your frame table has a tongue and wheels, it's really handy. The guy used it to build stock cars and car trailers, hence why it's so wide. So we had to block it up to clear the fenders, but so far, no damage occurred on the journey. The black trailer you see in the picture with the dinged up fender there is the way I bought it. I bought it last fall, and up until Friday, I had never hauled anything on it. Oh, I take that back. I lie. I hauled my golf cart home with it last year. But, well, yeah, I hauled a golf cart home with it last year, not the one I kept. And it's a nice hauling trailer. The orange trailer that you've seen in the videos is nice. It's got twin 7,000 pound axles. It has the giant ramps that I built that stand up in the wind. And on the highway, it's like dragging a parachute. So someday I may build some see-through ramps so the wind will go through, or make some slide-in ramps. But that trailer is excellent for hauling big heavy stuff. I need to put tires on it this year. They were 10 years old when I built the trailer in 2008 or 9, so 7 or 8. I even forget when I built it. So the Rice trailer, the black one in the picture, is a 2020. And Friday I hauled my brother's new tractor home with it. That worked great. It has a few things I need to tweak out on the trailer, but that's okay. And one of the things I've been meaning to do, is why I bought more of these receiver hitches, is my winch is, on a slide-in piece. So the only way to get one of these onto that Rice trailer is this. I got this much room of solid metal, and I have to put it way out on the end like this, and I'm going to weld this to the plate that stands up. That's probably only 1/4 inch, but it'll help. Most of the stress is going to be down here. I wanted a little bit of clearance over the deck in case there's bolts on the winch or something hanging down. It's pretty smooth, but I didn't want it tight to the deck. So that is a project for this week. That and a few other tweaks. I'm going to weld a couple more D-rings on the Rice trailer, and then I'll consider that ready to go pretty much. I need to outfit it with some blocking, and the toolbox that comes with it on the tongue just fills up with crud, so I got to clean that out, and it's good for blocking and nothing else, I guess. And then I have an Econo trailer. It's a metal decked trailer. It's only got, maybe 2 feet on either side. It's oh wait, back to the Rice trailer for a minute. If it has a flaw and it's not the trailer's fault, I bought it used. Again, if I bought it, it was a good deal. I saw it. I was the first one there with the money. I paid half of it what it was worth, but it only has twin 3,500 pound 5-lug axles. So the trailer is rated for 7,000 minus the weight of the trailer, which is probably at least 2,000, if not more. So it has a payload of somewhere between 47 and 5,000 pounds. But that's okay. It is what it is. End of story. So this Econo trailer that I bought, same thing. It was way cheap. I actually bought it because it came with a brand new winch. 12,000 pound Tractor Supply winch. Brand new in the box with the plate and everything, which I ended up getting rid of that. But the trailer, that one needs a little work. The wiring's kind of sketchy. The guy was wicked cool that I bought it from over in New Hampshire. He had just registered it. He left the plate on it, told me not to worry about it because he was missing the title, and he was going to get me the title and send it to me, and he did. He did exactly everything he said he was going to do, and still told me to not worry about the registering it until the plate runs out. So that one came pre-registered. That one needs a little more work. I think I have enough diamond plate to maybe fill in some of the center, if not all of it. I don't know how much I actually have. And it has a toolbox I'm going to remove. It just needs some work, but it's a cool little trailer as well. And there's no way I could pass it up, especially when the big winch that came with it. So that's that. But it's also going to get one of these. And everything on that is wide open, so attaching it will be much less of a trick. And last but not least, at least for today's episode, is I have a Lincoln Pro MiG 140. I'll put a picture in. I picked it up, well, at least a year ago, and the regulator is broken. It has flux core wire in it. I wouldn't waste my time with flux core unless you had no other options. Some people get away with it just fine, but I'll spend the extra money for gas and have a nice clean weld. So swapping it over to your traditional ER70S6 wire, it'll take 25 thousandths, 30 thousandths, or 35. Now my big MIG welder already has 35 in it, and I can weld small stuff with that. I can weld sheet metal. But another friend of mine had one of these, a version of the Tiny Lincoln 110, and it would weld sheet metal really well. And I just got my 47 Ford cab back that has been chopped but never finished welding. I said, well, I got this stupid little Lincoln welder, let's outfit it. So I bought some consumables, which I haven't even opened the package yet, a regulator that's not broken, and a roll of wire. So I spent 70 bucks. And again, I got it in a trade, so I don't know the exact value of the welder. I know they're pretty expensive. They're a pricey little welder for what they are. And we're going to see if we can get that thing working this week. For a gas bottle, I'm going to have to disconnect my big one, at least to try it. And when I find out that it's a fully functioning unit, then I'll think about a bottle for it. But that is the wah-wah-wah of welding. You have to pay the piper to get gas bottles. So that's the way it is. So hey, that was my random clips of the week. I'll even finish off with a happy report that the limping deer, I call her Limpy, seems to have another small deer with her this spring, and she was in my yard the other morning. She made it through another winter. You would think she would be susceptible to any prey that wants to eat her, you know, not of the human variety. And she avoided death and is living a wonderful life in my yard every third day, pretty much, eating all my shrubs. All right, have a good rainy Sunday, what's left of it, and I'll talk to you soon. Oh, by the way, tomorrow's May. Can you believe it? Wow. All right, take her easy.